Okay, I'm hoping I can get to start dialing this in today. We've checked all our I/O out. We got one sensor bad, but we can limp it along without it. So we're at the point that really we get excited about making the automatic operation work. Got to get my PID tuned, all that fun stuff. But we have a custom class tomorrow and I got to prep for it. Let me show you about it. So the normal classroom that you see me in is the PLC lab, which is a 100% hands-on, mind-zone course. If you end up with a button wired, it's because you wired it when you came to the class. So it's really good for getting you really in depth in all aspects of the industry. The only bad part is we can only run 8 people. Mentally, really all I can run is 8 people. So for the last month, we have been working on this second classroom, and this has been a job. I probably should show some before and after pictures because one, this was actually 6 offices. I mean, they were so small, couldn't figure out anything to do with them. I mean, the lights weren't working, carpet wasn't here. So in about a month, we've transformed this into a classroom that can hold about 35 people. And our goal is to do complementary training that maybe is less hands-on or maybe just use a smaller trainer. So we're gonna have a pneumatics training in here tomorrow. Also, the smart cell is now over here. That'll be a cool thing to update you on later. But our goal will be to strengthen kind of those foundational items that, we touch on in our hands-on training, but sometimes we need to know a little bit more about. So we're gonna get specialists in here to talk about different aspects from this week pneumatics to maybe arc flash training to basic electricity. So I'm looking forward to some really good content out of this classroom. But along with that, we have all the things that you have to do, such as ironing tablecloths. Also, just don't even ask. But we're gonna have like a product showcase in this room. Still very empty, but hopefully by this evening, it will look quite full. But already as I'm walking in here, I'm realizing we got a few obstacles we got to overcome because here's the main entrance. And so normally you walk this way and you get a little clue here that TW controls this direction. You walk a little further, there we go. Oh. You're not quite there, but it's still telling you to go there. And then you get the PLC lab. Now, if we rewind, the first issue I just realized is, that arrow is pointing that way. The new classroom is actually the opposite way, so I think I'm going to overtake the bear picture and put some type of sign there. Also, Jeff Kuiper asked a really good question on Mr. PLC, and I'm going to try to solve it today. So since we moved the smart cell down here, I need to remember to turn it off when I leave. And these classrooms aren't adjoining. Actually, there's 6 rooms you have to go through to get to it, or you have to go out in the hall. They're on opposite ends of the building. So there is a connection enabled. In fact, let me go grab a computer and let's find out. So in Studio 5000, this Scalance XC216 Siemens Ethernet switch, that's in that smart cell, and it's called Smart Ethernet Switch. So if I go up to my controller tags and we type in smart, and then we go to our Ethernet switch, :I, then right here, we have connection faulted, and currently it's at a 0. Now, every time I've looked at that, I'm like, oh, okay, I don't know exactly what that does. So I've stuck with the way I've always done it, which is a GSV looking at the entry status. So my question really is, and Jeff's question was, do those switch at the same time? In other words, the moment that I get the connection faulted, do I also get that entry status dropping out? So let's put a little code in there. Let's figure this out. So just so you see what I normally do, I'm going to right click the Smart Ethernet switch in the IO configuration. We're going to cross-reference it. And we have a GSV right here, and I'm going to double click on it. And so what I normally do is a GSV looking at the entry status and it's connected right now, so it is 16,384. And this is kind of the magic number that, yeah, if you're this, then you're happy and connected. And then NE's for not equal to, if you're using version 36 and up, version 35, this was the NEQ. If it's not equal to 16,384, then we alarm that our communications is down. Okay, before we do any crazy code, let's start with some basics. Let's give it the old eyeball test. So I'm going to start a rung edit on this one. And I'm going to bring a go look for a 1 down behind everything that's already there. And I'm going to look for a 1 at smart and then Ethernet switch, :I, connected, connected, what is it? Connection faulted. And then I'm going to drag any old instruction. I know some people are really struggling when I say any old instruction, but I really mean any old instruction. I'm going to highlight the shape and I'm going to type NOP for no operation. Because I'm just going to look at these two and see if there's an obvious difference in the two of them. So we're going to finalize that. And now I'm going to turn the disconnect off in 3, 2, 1, off. All right, they looked about the same. Of course, I was really smart. I wouldn't have done that. Now I got to wait for everything to boot back up. I should have just pulled the cable out. So we'll turn it on. And yeah, I think I can probably pause this video for nearly a minute. All right, and they seem to go out at exactly the same time. All right, let's throw a little code in and let's get it down to the nth degree. So I'm gonna start a rung edit. I'll just bring a branch down around this whole thing. I could add another rung because all this is temporary. Oops. And we'll kick that back over. And so yeah, we're gonna bring a go look for a 1 down, and we're gonna look for a 1 at this alarms. That's the GSV. And then we're gonna look for a 0 at the connection faulted. So this would mean if now we want a rising edge of this though. Yeah, so I want a 1 shot in there. So we're gonna bring an ONS in. So if this comes on and this is not on, then we are going to put a counter in here. And we're gonna call this temp. This will be a GSV. I'm gonna call it on for connected, so I don't have to write all that. On first. And we'll create that. And, oops, gotta give it a name here. So I'm just gonna put temp 1 because I'm getting ready to delete all this right back out. And create that. Okay, so that one, if we, that would be if the GSV comes first. So now we need to do the opposite. So we'll add a branch level. And we'll bring, actually, we can probably just copy and paste all this. You can put that there, but now we're gonna move this, whoops, we're gonna try to move this over to here. We're gonna move that to there. So make that temp 2. Breaking all the rules, guys, and not even using proper naming like I ride y'all on so hard. And this will be, I'm just gonna call it IO first, because this is part of the IO connection, I guess. IO first. And we'll create that one. And I guess we need to do the opposite too to fully prove it out. So we'll add a branch level. We'll paste that in again. Only this time we want to look for a 0 on that and a 1 on that. I think that's what we want. Oops. I think that'll get us there. So this would be the GSV's going off first. And that would be 3.
And we'll add one more branch level. And actually, it's almost the same thing we have on this one. So we'll copy that one, paste it down, make that a go look for a 0, make that a go look for a 1, make that a 4, and we'll make that an off. Create that. We'll create that. Oops, already created that. Oh, I guess I did. Okay, we'll finalize that. And right away, we should get no errors or warnings. And I wish I could make this just never pop up ever again. Like, just stay out of the way. There we go. So all these should be at 0, and they are. Okay, this time I'm gonna be smart. I'm gonna unplug the Ethernet cable. Of course, you can't see when I do it this way, I guess. We don't get instant gratification, so nope. We'll just do it the same way. And I'll wait a minute. All this for you, Jeff. So we turn it off. Oh, we got no counts, Jeff. That means these two did happen at exactly the same time. Well, there you have it. At least that way, the GSV is obsolete if you have the connection faulted. All right, so now let's turn it back on. And now we'll be focusing on these two bottom ones down here, and mainly if either of these count. Okay, and neither of them counted, Jeff.
So proof positive, really the GSV, you could say, is obsolete now, which arguably this connection faulted should have been in there a long time ago. But I'm going to show you a pitfall when we get back in the other room. I'll use the road grid because, yeah, you know I want to play with it. But yeah, used to, I would have been sketchy of that just because there is some other bits sometimes that will make you think you're catching a fault and don't.
Now let's do the same thing with the PowerFlex 525, because here's what I see people doing, and here's why I steered away from that connection faulted so long. Is in the case of the PowerFlex 525, we have pump :I, pump :O, just because that's what I named this PowerFlex. And we open the arrow by it, and we have pump faulted right here. And so you'll see people put an alarm based on pump faulted. But the trick is that does not catch a connection fault. So if I just pop it, ooh, I need to put my little child plug in that. I usually put a plug in the DSIs on here so they don't accidentally plug them in the wrong place. But if I unplug this, and if we look here now, we're not faulted here. Now, if we look over here, we have a microscopic little yellow triangle here telling us that we are faulted. And that's why we've always had to use the GSV in the entry status. So now I'm really baffled. Why does a third-party device have that connection faulted and this thing not have that connection faulted? I'm being a native Allen-Bradley device. Typical Amber fashion, she made it go big or go home. So now, as you walk in the door, I think they'll figure that out. They could wander this way, but I think that'll get them going this way. All right, we're back on it a little bit. So I got working on the potentiometer, and the potentiometer was not working. So once I got the potentiometer working, now I have another issue. Notice as this light blinks, these are blinking slightly. And so we traced it to, here's our common off that light, going up to common here, to here, to here, to here, to here. Our common is not making it back to the minus of our power supply. Okay, so we have a bright white light again flashing, and we're not seeing the little twitches anymore. And we have a potentiometer, and it is working again. So once again, there was another 45 minutes to chase down one little thing, and all we're trying to do is make the motor run so I can set my level span. So I could do a bunch of funky math, but really my any level scaling is based on 2 points. So right now my O link is sitting there about 96.10. And so that is my 0 point because yeah, the ball is not sitting at 0. Because yeah, we added that screw. So we're going to call that a 1/2 inch, I think. So the ball is sitting at a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to make my raw low, which is right here, 96.10. And my scaled low is going to be a 1/2 inch. So now we'll take it wide open. And we're at 10 3/4. And it looks like 10 3/4 is around, oh, we're bouncing really, really bad. So I should have thought about it when the level seemed way the heck off of the old machine. This ultrasonic sensor has its sensing distance is too long. So we're actually, it's got a dead area here, and that little bit of dead area is right where we're trying to set this at. So for now, I'm going to drop it down. We're not going to be able to use that upper limit. So I'm going to make this 9 1/4. And that's going to be 4,600 over here. So my raw high will be 4,600. So 4,600. And my scaled high will be 9 1/4. And now it tells me I'm running roughly 9 1/4. And we let off the buttons. And we drop to right at about a 1/2 inch. Okay, we managed to test all of the preliminary brakes, not the complicated brakes, but the basic brakes on it, and all of them work, but 2 out of 40, you know, that ain't too bad. And so if I hit my 2-hand control, and manually blows the ball up, do a little PID, changes to a different set point. And it actually has a little hiccup here at the end, but I think I'm gonna leave it because this is designed to simulate a poorly built machine. Let's talk about how do you take a concept and turn it into something. Just going through our notes. There's the original idea for this. Well, actually, there's our panel layout. Originally, we were just sitting there sketching out. That's not too far off. Well, there's the side layout. Actually, we stuck to it pretty good. Yeah. There was our button layout. So yes, we did end up drawing out in CAD, but a lot of times we just sit around and start hashing out ideas on building a new trainer. But it has a home in the PLC lab. Besides a small junk pile, we are ready for tomorrow's training. Let's go check out what that looks like. Got a little sprucing up to do, but it's starting to look like something. Okay, look at here. All types of toys to play with. And SMC really brought all the demos out. I mean, there's so much stuff in here that I just can't wait to play with tomorrow. And even more in here. So if you missed signing up for this class, then definitely check out our training schedule and sign up for the next one.